I think most of you should not be paying for Fable 5. There, I said it. Opus 5 just landed today, and after digging through the specs, the pricing, and Anthropic's own guidance on when to pick which model, I'm convinced the cheaper model is the right call for the majority of real workloads. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me here in the workshop. In today's video, I'm going to break down Anthropic's release today of Opus 5, how it compares to Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Soul, and will it satisfy the Fable 5 withdrawal symptoms that many of us are facing after Anthropic pulled Fable from pro subscriptions this past July 19th. So today we're answering the question, is Opus 5 basically a discount Fable 5? So like a lot of us, I woke up today and to see that Anthropic had finally released Opus 5, and I read on X that Anthropic described Opus 5 as a thoughtful and proactive model that comes close to the frontier intelligence of Fable 5 at half the price. Okay, this sounds like them trying to ease that pain that those users are feeling after using Fable 5 and realizing how fantastic it was. Couple that with the fact that OpenAI just recently released GPT 5.6 models, including 5.6 Soul, which in many benchmarks is close and sometimes surpasses Fable 5 in performance at basically half the price. This may be an attempt to get those folks that rage quit after pro subscriptions and went for 5.6 Soul. Looking at the models and looking at pricing from the Anthropic's changelog today from their GitHub, the changelog for Claude Code, it shows that they added Claude Opus today, of course, and it also shows here that it's the default Opus model in Claude Code now, and they have a fast mode that's $10 per input tokens, per million input tokens, and $50 per million output tokens, which is the same price as Fable 5. So if you use Opus 5 in fast mode, it's the same price as Fable 5 regular mode. And we can see here down here in the changelog some other notes here, but they removed Opus 4.7 from fast mode, and now it applies to Opus 5 and Opus 4.8. And so looking at Claude's or Anthropic's information here, you can see Claude Fable 5 and Claude Opus 5 side by side, of course, with Sonnet and Haiku, which nobody really cares about, even though Sonnet is an excellent model. But you can see the pricing here. As they said, Opus 5 is half the price of Fable 5. $10 per input million tokens for Fable 5, $50 per output million tokens, and Claude and Opus 5 is 5 and 25. And we can see here that the maximum output is the same. We can see, and of course you can see Claude Sonnet 5, which is actually a really good model. You get some really good output from it. It's basically a third of the price of Fable 5 and almost half the price of Opus 5. Now, if we look at the GPT 5.6 Soul, GPT 5.6 Soul has been great. We've used it. It's given some great output, great reasoning, and you can see the price here, which really is their flagship model now. It's OpenAI's flagship model. The input per million token price is the same as Opus 5, and the output per million token price is just a little bit more at $30, but it's the same and almost half the price of Fable 5, and it's very efficient. Not only is it cheaper than Fable 5, but it actually uses less tokens. So I think Anthropic is feeling the heat kind of a little bit with GPT 5.6, and that's good. Once again, that's good for us. Anthropic put this graphic out today, which shows Opus 5 just beating Fable 5 in all these different categories. Again, I think this is to get us away from the Fable 5 hyperventilating that some of us have been experiencing, to show that Opus 5 is really good. And I would have to agree based on the specs and based on our testing so far. You can see here with the benchmarks, some well-known industry benchmarks and the metrics, Opus 5 is leading in most of these categories. Now, again, how much of this is hype? I think, it's close. How much of it is hype? We don't really truly know. But at the same time, look at where it compares to Fable 4.8, and then they have GPT 5.6 Soul. This is what Anthropic put out today. You can see here with this agentic coding benchmark, actually GPT 5.6 Soul is better in that category over all of Anthropic's models. But then they add another agentic coding benchmark to show that Opus 5 wins that category. So according to this, Opus 5 is great. Now, when we look at the other thing they put out today was this finding vulnerabilities and exploits in open source code. They're showing here that Opus 5 is right up there with Mythos when it comes to finding vulnerabilities in open source code, which is very important. They're using the OSS fuzz testing graphic here, and they're showing that as far as finding vulnerabilities is right up there with Mythos class. And the Mythos class is the Anthropic's model that has the security guardrails off. So I mean, it's invite only, is only released to certain companies and in preview mode, and it's part of our Project Glasswing. Now it identifies vulnerabilities, but when it comes to exploiting those vulnerabilities, this shows that Mythos just blows every other model out of the water. So finding the vulnerabilities and exploiting them are two totally separate things. When you look at the OSS fuzz, the testing, the technique that they use to find these vulnerabilities and exploit them, you can read here, but this is what they use to show that Opus 5 is pretty good. And looking at the capabilities according to the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, this is a good index. They run their own benchmarks and they score these models, and look at where Opus is. Opus is right up there. Claude Opus 5 max effort, Claude Opus 5 extra high, they take the lead, 60 and 61. And you see Fable is behind Opus. And then of course 5.6 GPT 5.6 Soul is right there. Now they're all within a couple points here, and even you can see Kimi K3 is right there. Again, that's a great model, but it's just showing here that Opus is right up there when it comes to these benchmarks. And these are separate benchmarks. This is not Opus. This is not Anthropic running these tests. So it's a great website to kind of see where these models score. So say you're running a coding agent that chews through 50 million input tokens and spits out 10 million output tokens a month. On Opus, that's $500. On Fable, it's $1,000. Same context window, same output ceiling. So if the quality difference doesn't show up in your results, you're paying $500 a month for a vibe. Now, one more practical note for the builders. On the message batches API, Opus 5 supports up to 300,000 output tokens with a beta header, and the effort parameter defaults to high on the API and in Claude Code. So out of the box, Opus is already trying its hardest. You're not getting a nerfed configuration at a cheaper price. So where does Fable actually earn double the money? Anthropic is refreshingly honest about the difference. Their guidance says both models excel at coding, long-running agents, and knowledge work, and Opus consistently ranks among leading models on benchmarks like the GDP Val AA that we just looked at for knowledge work and Terminal Bench 2.1 for agentic coding. That's per their model, their documents. But here's a key sentence, and I'm paraphrasing their own docs. Larger models like Fable tend to have more wisdom, creativity, and writing skill, despite having similar benchmark scores to Opus. Similar benchmark scores, let that sink in. The gap isn't something a leaderboard captures, it's judgment. It's the model making a better call on an ambiguous task, writing prose that doesn't sound like prose written by a model, handling the weird edge cases your eval suite never thought to test. So if you think of it like hiring, Opus is the excellent senior engineer, fast, reliable, crushes the ticket. Fable is the principal engineer who occasionally says, wait, we're solving the wrong problem here. Now, most days, you don't need that. but some days it's everything. And Anthropic gives you a genuinely useful rule of thumb. Run your evals on Opus first. If Opus struggles on your tasks, Fable is the answer. If Opus clears your quality bar, its speed and price make it the better choice. And that's from their docs where they explain the difference between their models. You can look it up. That's it. That's the whole decision. Don't pick on prestige. Pick on evidence from your own workload. So, Poor Man's Fable 5, here's my honest read. Calling it that really undersells Opus 5. Poor man's implies that we're settling. But for coding agents, document pipelines, enterprise automation, the bread and butter of what most of us are building, Opus 5 isn't the compromise. It's the correct tool. And Anthropic's own docs point us there first. Now, one of the specs where Opus 5 beats Fable 5, and it can be very important, and that's knowledge cutoff. We can see it right here. Fable 5's reliable knowledge cutoff is January 2026. Opus 5's is May 2026. The cheaper model knows 4 more months of the world. Newer libraries, newer frameworks, newer events for coding work, especially where an API changed in March and Fable confidently writes the old syntax. That's not a footnote. That's a real practical edge for the half-price model, the discount model with the fresher brain, which is really wild. So run your evals, start with Opus, and only pay the Fable tax when your own results tell you to. So there's the answer. Opus 5 isn't the poor man's Fable 5. It's the smart money default. Half the price, same million token context, same 128K output, faster responses, and a newer knowledge cutoff than the flagship. Now, Fable earns its premium only when your evals prove Opus can't clear the bar. If this saved you from doubling your API bill, do me one favor, like and subscribe, because I'm testing both models head-to-head on real agent workloads in the next video, and you'll want to see those numbers. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you in the next one.